Have you ever felt like you finally survived the narcissist in your family cult just to repeat the same cycle with someone much younger, much more impressionable, much more innocent, but you notice them exhibiting the same narcissistical traits you finally just exhaled from, you finally just healed from? You just didn't want to. You just didn't want to listen. It was so easy for you to just do that. Don't be mad at me for calling you out. It is so important for those scapegoats, for those who experience narcissistic abuse, to teach the younger generation just how important it is to not exhibit these traits and to become a healthy adult. Those were the things that my younger sibling was saying to me when we had a discussion or argument about the situation, which I'll talk about right now. Basically, it all started when I was playing music in the car. I had the aux, and I played one of my songs first, and then I wanted to play their song for them because they were like, oh, I have a song. So the second song, I was like, you got the second song, you got it. I gave them the phone to put in their song, and we're listening to it. And the first half, it's like just like beats, it's calm, it's cool. Not my particular taste, but you know, it's their song, like go off. And so I play it, but then halfway through, it just starts screaming, like it's like rock screaming music, and it's really loud and it's just screaming, and I'm sitting there trying to just bear it, but it's screaming, and I was like, oh, I just can't. And I look at my phone and I see, oh, it's halfway through the song, so I skip it, which, you know, we'll get into how I could have done other things than that. But I skipped the song and I went and I played another song that I know that they like, that wasn't screaming, but we could all enjoy, that they can enjoy. So tell me why a day later they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm so upset that you skipped my song earlier, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize that, like, you know, I was explaining to her that, hey, it hurt my ears, like it was screaming really loud. And it's not a problem, you know, to come to somebody with something you're upset with. I'm not shaming her for expressing that. I just think it's very problematic how she was going about it. And she was unconsciously exhibiting narcissistical traits as she was trying to get her point across, which made this whole interaction way more triggering and way more into an argument than it should have been. I kept expressing to her, hey, it was hurting my ears really bad, you know, that's why I played a different song, and she just didn't want to hear it. She just kept saying, no, you just didn't want to listen to it, or you just didn't like it, like, it's okay if you don't like the genre, just listen to it. And I'm like, hey, I've been saying I couldn't listen to it because it was overstimulating me and it was hurting my ears. But all she was hearing and was repeating back to me was, well, you just didn't want to listen to it. You just didn't want to hear it. And so that was number one of just the loop that we were going in this circle where I'm expressing my truth and they're just like, well, no, this is the actual truth. You just didn't want to hear it. Second thing that I noticed was the volume. When I was like, yeah, I just couldn't listen to it. Oh, well, you could have just lowered the volume. It's just so easy for you to turn down the volume. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I could have turned on the volume. I was just in the heat of the moment. I skipped it. And I don't know what you want me to do now. This happened a day ago. Like, what can I do? Like, I just kept saying, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't change the past, you know. I skipped it and that's what happened. I played a different song that you liked. But they just kept going in. Oh, you just could have easily turned it down. It literally came to me debating for my life over a rock song. Like, literally debating. And I've seen just the pattern with the younger generation, with them exhibiting the same traits that the Narc family cult do unconsciously, is that when something happens to them, they think that you are just manipulative. Like, they think that you meticulously knew that they loved that song and skipped it on purpose just to hurt them. This is a pattern that I've seen over and over and over again with this younger sibling, is them always thinking any type of inconvenience or anything is just an attack, just a plan to just ruin their mood or do something to them on purpose. And I have originally planned to make a video on how it's really crucial to teach the younger generation, you know, narcissistical traits and call them out on patterns. And as long as they're, you know, old enough to understand it and to reflect on it, to talk to them about healthy behaviors, especially if you're in a family scapegoat where they're not actually seeing it play out. As someone who's trying to heal and thrive beyond narcissistic abuse, when you finally feel like you're healing and you're finally able to breathe and release and not be in fight or flight, but then an unknowingly new narcissistical archetype person that came out of nowhere, who saw you when you were hurt and saw the abuse that was happening to you, starts to exhibit those traits, it hurt because she triggered and mirrored the same behavior that they were exhibiting. the invalidation of the twisting of my reality, the twisting of my words. I never once said, because I have to be very conscious of the words I use because they'll twist it. I never once said I didn't want to listen to it or I didn't like the genre. I kept saying and very clear I couldn't listen to it because of how it was affecting me. But instead, just a no-win argument of running in circles. You just didn't want to, you just didn't. And it's crazy because I never said that. So it was just showing to me how dysfunction just passes down to younger generations and how it's so hard to get to the truth of the matter because what you're saying they don't actually hear. And it's so unfortunate, but my nervous system cannot distinguish between a teenager doing these tactics on me and the old wounds with the family cult doing it to me. So I had to like literally be like, even though this is a teenager in my logical mind, like I'm not gonna let a teenager make me upset. She was doing these same things unconsciously that triggered these old wounds within me, and I had to actually face them. I ended up just saying, all right, you're right, I'm sorry, I should have put the volume down, I shouldn't have skipped it. You're right, like just fawning, you know, surrendering because it is what it is, like, you know. And low-key I was testing myself too to see, okay, what happens if I just admit all my faults just so that they can feel better, if I soothe them like they want me to. And what's crazy is that me submitting and saying, you know what, I was right, you're right, even if my ears hurt, I should have endured it, I should have just kept this on, I could have put the volume down, you're right, I had alternatives. When I gave them what they wanted, I gave her what she wanted, and it still wasn't enough. And I think that's the main takeaway that I'm taking from this, no matter who it's from, but just seeing these narcissistical traits and just testing and seeing, hey, okay, if I just give them everything that they want and I admit defeat in their eyes, what would happen? And it wasn't enough. Because people with these tendencies don't want to win. They want control and dominance. They want to feel like triumphant. They don't want resolution. They want you to submit. What goes to show with narcissists is that appeasement never works. And ultimately, when you self-betray yourself in your truth and you just fawn and you just give them what they want, it's still not going to be enough. So it's not worth it. And no matter, even if she's a narcissist or not, you know, teenagers are in their own world of self-development and their emotions are, you know, very intense at that age, and they do exhibit narcissistical traits on accident. But at the same time, she's also seen the effect of our family dynamic. I've been very transparent about it with her. She's seen it with her own eyes. So, you know, you would think, oh, she'd have an extra open consideration towards it. But yeah, I kept trying to get to the facts, and I'm like, hey, this is the fact. But no, it's not the fact. This is what I believe happened. And what really topped it off for me, when I really don't want to consider calling her a narc, but what really topped it off for me was at the end when we finally resolved it after I fawned, and they finally were able to say, yeah, you know, next time if it hurts, I won't give you something like that. They were finally able to have compassion towards me because I overextended and overpoured for them. And then I was like, oh, okay, we're talking about what we could do next time. And I was like, next time, let's also just focus on the facts, that we don't run in circles arguing the facts. Let's focus on the facts. And that set on a whole other loop of, oh, well, what are the facts? You tell me what's the facts right now. When did I not accept the facts? Tell me right now. I just recognize this cycle of just abuse and of just like, they want you to continue to overextend, to tell them, okay, at this point you didn't accept the facts, this point, just so they can go back and they can rebuttal each one. And I was not falling for it, especially not with this teenager. Hell no. I said, you can reread the chat with this new lens, reread the chat and think, okay, when was I not accepting the facts? And they left me unread. Okay. I literally had to just say, hey, I can't, I'm at work right now, I can't. No, you tell me when I did facts. Tell me, like, they want you to just keep overextending yourself. And it's crazy just when narcissistical traits come at you from just the most, like, recognizable or just the most random place. You learn something new each time about them as a whole and how they think. And from this situation really taught me that, hey, even if I were to self-betray myself and say, hey guys, all the abuse that you caused me, you didn't do anything wrong, like, I'm just overreacting, you're right, I'm the crazy one, you guys are completely right. Even if I were to do that, throw my hands up, it would still not be enough for them. That's a lesson for you guys to avoid, and to always just keep on, like, keep your truth, but learn, which I learned today, is that It's better to detach and disengage as soon as you sense it, instead of getting stuck in the spiral. Because even if you do get stuck in the spiral and you do try to speak and hold on the facts and express yourselves, or you do fawn and you do appease them and soothe them, even if you're betraying yourself, it still won't be enough. So yeah, thank you for listening to that, and hope you enjoyed. Bye.